you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, how are you doing out there tonight, all across this great land and around the world? It's that time for the Conservative Syndicate. One more time, one more day. We're glad to have you with us today. I am your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we're glad to have you with us today. We got a whole lot of stuff to talk about today. A whole lot of stuff. And you're going to have to really kind of pay attention here. Pay attention as we go along here. It's going to be an interesting day. And I'm going to have to, geez, all of a sudden here my mic it just went down. Hang on one second, folks.
You're okay.
Well, yeah, there we go. Boom, boom. Okay, we're back.
Goodness, earthquake.
Yeah, that's called rebooting a mic, okay?
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it can be great for the ears. We're glad to have you with us. And like I said, you're going to have to pay attention today. Going to have to pay attention. We have a series of things we're going to be talking about, and they all interlink. One will go to the other. So, if you get lost, you may have to pick up the archive later and re-listen to it, just so that you get a better handle on what we're doing. But that's what we're going to do. It's going to be a series of articles and clips, and we're going to breach the topic. I've been talking about this for, I don't know, at least 3 weeks, maybe close to a month now, about discussing an in-depth discussion about globalism versus nationalism, because that's what this particular election has really exhumed from the ashes of everything that's going on out there. We've had that moment of clarity where we've looked into the abyss that's known as the political process, and we have discovered what it's really about. If I've learned anything in this election process, I've learned that I understand now when we talk about the establishment what and who we're talking about and what it all means in the big picture. George W. Bush, I remember him years ago during his administration, and I believe it was in his first term, using the word New World Order. And I thought, George W. Bush isn't the sharpest knife in the drawer. So I thought maybe that was just some kind of, ambivalent generic term to try to describe the idea of world peace. It was like the political equivalent to Miss Universe telling us that she wants world peace, that kind of thing. But I now realize, especially with what was it, yesterday, we learned that H.W. Bush is going to support Hillary Clinton. There it is. There, boom, bada bing, bada boom. I heard that. Okay, there it is, guys. There it is. The establishment is the establishment. The establishment is apolitical. They're not attached to any political affiliation. They're not even attached to an ideology. They're attached to power and wealth and fame, that kind of thing. And that's why Barack Obama fits in there so well. So anyway, we're going to do that. We're going to dance around with that, and we're going to get into that. We have some other things we're going to cover first, but that is going to be the prime objective today. Okay, if I can use a Star Trek term, we're going to breach the prime objective. Okay. Having said that, let me get my partner in crime on here. How are you doing today, Joe?
Okay, John. I think we're going to try to power through all this and make sure that we hit all of our fellow deplorables and our unredeemable souls, so we can get through this and explain to people. Look, it's about globalism and multiculturalism. They're all tied together, and that's what. The Bushes are nothing more than globalists and multiculturalists. You have to have them both to make that work. You can't just have one culture and be a part of the global community as they want. So you must destroy your own culture to be part of the world culture.
Well, I've been taking these analogies. I think I mentioned during the Labor Day weekend, they had on BBC, the British channel, yes. They had a marathon, a Star Trek marathon, and it was
my DVR is full.
Yeah, and it was the original version Star Trek. It wasn't that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It wasn't that crappy the Next Generation stuff. I don't like the subsequent and the Voyager and all that other crap. The original was the best because Gene Roddenberry was I think this guy was quite the political student.
So which one did you find kind of suits us for today?
Oh, I think there were several of them, but the one that was probably the most I'm going to say deep reaching was the one with the cons and the gang. The cons and the yangs, the yangs and the cons.
Yes.
Okay,
gotcha, yeah.
And it turns out to be some kind of parallel universe of the United States. I mean, they had the American flag, the Constitution, the whole 9 yards, and the Yangs, the cons, of course, were the communists. They all looked like Genghis Khan kind of thing. But there were several. But I'll tell you the ones that I really liked the most. Like the one where the one Starfleet commander had tried to turn it into Nazi Germany because he found it to be the most effective society, and he. But the common phrase in most of the episodes that I really liked was whenever Kirk found himself dealing with a Starfleet commander or somebody else that was out there messing around with the prime objective.
Yeah, the
prime objective of the Federation was to observe, but not to interfere. And some of these things. And it always involves some Starfleet commander. I don't think of any. There wasn't too many other people. I can't remember in any episode where it wasn't some Starfleet commander who was sent on a mission to observe some planet somewhere and ended up trying to take the planet over for one reason or another. I always had a good intention when they began, but it always turned into bad stuff. And Kirk was always about. Whenever him and the other Starfleet commander were face to face, you violated the prime directive, that kind of stuff. Well, what's happening here, and what we're hearing right now, as far as this nationalism versus globalism debate, is that the globalists are no longer hiding the fact that they're globalists.
Yeah, exactly. And the other word they're going to use is populist.
Yeah, and the words they're using, just like language is everything in liberalism. And you hear words, they'll use the word nationalist kind of generically, but then they get into things like authoritarians, and that's referring to us.
Yes.
The word extremists.
Oh, yes, extreme. And then you're going to have these populist, nationalist, xenophobic, and we must not abandon these things as well, and we must integrate with global society.
Yeah, and see, that's what it's all about. We've said it on this show. I was surprised Don Dick said it the other night, and I don't know if it was the first time he ever mentioned it, but the idea that we believe, and we've been talking about for quite a while now, that Barack Obama's intent after he leaves the United States, okay, and once he leaves the White House.
He'll leave the planet too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll put him out there in Deep Space Nine, and he can mess around with the Cardassians. And there is actually a race in Deep Space Nine called the Cardassians. Okay, so not the Kardashians, but the Cardassians. Very close. Okay,
and they all have big butts. That's okay.
It's a warring global. They go around and enslave. All the other planets out there, and they're kind of like one of the bad guys, really bad guys. They're worse than the Vulcans and the Romulans, that kind of thing. So anyway, yeah, if you really, I'll tell you this, if you ever really want to see, in my opinion, the best Star Trek spinoff was Deep Space Nine. And it is just because it covers everything. And it's the first one that really turned into like a soap opera. Because it's like every episode was a continuation of the previous episode. It wasn't, separate. It was all within the narrative of a soap opera. They had You've got, well, I'm not going to go into all that because of time, but that was the best one. And to this day, I wish I could find it. I know it's out there in cable somewhere being syndicated. I just haven't been able to find it. But if any of you out there listening know how I can get my hands on Deep Space Nine on cable, let me know.
Email John.
Anyway, but that's what we're talking about. This election has done something. It has unveiled. Bernie Sanders, God bless him, has unveiled democratic socialism, and in doing that, has let the dogs loose.
Well, also you must thank Donald Trump for exposing all those like the Bushes and that quote unquote conservative Republican Party that aren't any of that. They aren't conservative, and Republicanism is not them.
Yeah, Trump exposed the Republican Party. Bernie Sanders exposed the Democrat Party, and now everybody's been released, and everybody is just out there doing whatever they have to do. Panic and paranoia, planning and scheming, spinning and lying, and showing and taking off their real garb. There really are
just at the UN like Obama did yesterday.
Yeah, there really are elephants and jackasses in elephant skins, believe it or not. There is, okay? And vice versa. Anyway, hey, look, we got to take our first break. When we come back, we'll breach the divide here. We'll power through. We'll begin our power through demonstration here and get into some of these stuff. I got some other things I want to talk about first, but we will, before this first hour is over, we're going to get into the globalism versus nationalism discussion. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, and no, you didn't find us by accident, but by divine design, and we're glad to have you with us today. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and I want to get into, we're going to revisit a little bit something that we talked about yesterday, and I'm doing it because I think this is the kind of stuff I wish the media would focus more on right now. Not even the mainstream media. The mainstream media is whatever they are. And they're going to go, in fact, we're going to talk about that just a little bit later after this, how the media is chasing its tail right now. It's like they don't know if they like what Trump is doing or not. Remember in the beginning of the campaign, it was all about Trump. He got airtime. Why? For being audaciously stupid and stepping into their traps and just... It was almost like he was setting a course of self-destruction. He was like kind of masochistic in some ways. And boy, they thought, the death spiral he was going to go into and the crash and burn was just going to be something so great to watch.
Well, John, they loved him. He was a ratings lollipop, and they loved licking it.
Oh yeah. He was going to not only destroy himself, but in the process destroy the Republican Party and the Tea Party and everything that's has anything to do with conservatism. And they just loved it.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
Greatest thing, man. It was the greatest thing. They loved it because they were getting massive ratings every time they put him on. Massive ratings for every one of those debates. People were tuning in just to see, hey, look at the train crash that's going to happen here now. It was the Titanic, the Hindenburg, and every train crash that's ever existed in the world. It was all bundled into one, and they were all happy to be there. They were just, yeah. And now it's like, oh.
Yeah,
hey,
now it's like, wait a minute. And
he could actually pull this off.
And so anyway, so the media, like I said, they don't know what to make of what's going on right now. So as is the case with leftists, when you come into this point in time when you realize, wait a minute, the strategy we thought was going to work isn't working, and the strategy that we thought would correct what was going wrong isn't working, and now it's like we don't know what's working and what's not working. All we know is Trump isn't dying. And as some polls have it right now, if you believe polls, like I said, I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in the polls, and I want to be fair about that. I don't want to start getting in this. Well, now some of the polls say that Donald Trump is leading. Okay, let's start giving him credibility. That's not where I'm going here.
We'll see what happens with that. I mean, I don't believe any of the polls because remember the last time. That's why I don't understand why some of these people are still allowed to be on the Talking Heads television as experts because they've been nothing but wrong.
No. So, but it's like I said. I think we covered this. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago about how the media has changed their strategy. Remember, we talked about in 2008, the media was doing everything they could to make it sound like it was a close contest between McCain and Obama. And the reason was it wasn't because they necessarily wanted Obama. That was a given. They didn't vet the guy. If they ever vetted Barack Obama, he'd be sitting right now where Hillary Clinton is. He would have spent his entire campaign trying to fend off birther issues, and
he might be sitting where Blagos is right now in prison.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot of things they could have really really
get to
dug
the
up.
story you wanted to talk about that they should cover more. Let's get to that. So we can get through. I want to get through all this stuff today. I want to start doing this. Let's go get them.
Oh yeah. Okay. So anyway, what I wanted to bring up was yesterday we had talked about. We were talking about the Hillary Clinton campaign soaking donors. Going into their checking account, taking unauthorized withdrawals, and they were doing it as long as it kept the amounts cumulatively under $100.
Yep.
So they were going into people that would go to the site, make a one-time donation, and they were taking that bank account number and they were going in and hitting it until they got close to $100. And anyway, we talked about how many hundreds of people are calling the banks, Wells Fargo, U.S. Bank, and I'm sure some of the other ones out there, and telling them, hey, I didn't authorize any of these things, okay? And the reason I had brought it up, and the reason I'm bringing it up again, is because this is the stuff I think somebody like Sean Hannity or Megyn Kelly should be paying attention to, or even Bill O'Reilly, for that matter. I don't expect MSNBC to do anything about it, but you would think that they'd be more concerned about something like this, which is this in and of itself. See, this is a kind of scandal that could really, really, really just nail Clinton to the wall, because you're hitting the paychecks and you're hitting the bank accounts of the common man.
Well, and they're also not being honest about it, because they wanted to be the commoners, or you're not the big money donors are supporting us.
Yeah,
the common people do. And I would just want to point out one thing. If you go to Donald Trump's campaign site, right? He has some of this, they want you to give money. All these guys want you to give money to him. But Donald Trump, right out the front, has a little check box that you put there. Make this a monthly recurring donation. Unlike Hillary Clinton, who just takes it out of you.
Yeah. And we normally, the disclaimer that would be, how do I put this? This is what would normally happen. A checking account, somebody takes money out of your checking account after you've authorized an initial payment. Yeah. And you call them up and you say, hey, I didn't authorize this. And they said, well, did you read your terms and conditions? Okay, terms and conditions said that this was going to be a recurring withdrawal. Okay, so that's what Joe's talking about there. Okay, now, the point being is that what I kind of left off into the gray area was the scandal with Wells Fargo.
Yeah, okay. Uh-huh.
Okay, and so I want to, as I said at the beginning of the show, I want to take things in time together, all right? So we have Wells Fargo out there who just recently had to pay $185 million in fines for having employees, over 5,000 employees over the course of several years, from 2011 to 2016, 5,300 employees, creating accounts out of current bank people that are bank at their bank. Meaning, what I mean is they're issuing credit cards without customers asking for them. They're creating savings accounts and even opening up other checking accounts. Okay, and using the money of the current customers. Okay, and I was pointing to the fact that during the hearing, Elizabeth Warren is out there doing her, Democratic socialist thing. You guys need to be strung up, tar and feathered, and we need to confiscate all your money and give it back to the poor people, that kind of stuff. But Hillary Clinton went on the warpath, if I can use that phrase, if you catch my drift there. Hillary Clinton went on the warpath with Elizabeth Warren.
Yes.
And this is what I was pointing to. She said Hillary Clinton comes out and says there's simply no place for this kind of outrageous behavior in America. Well, Hillary Clinton's campaign's doing what? Soaking the very same customers, just doing it differently. Yes. She's not She's not creating fraudulent accounts. She's not issuing credit cards, but she's taking unauthorized money out of her base. Think about this, guys. She's robbing the people that are giving her money to run.
Well, it's even better than that, John. John, where did the Democrats have a national convention?
In Philadelphia.
Yeah, what was the name of that arena they were in?
The Wells Fargo Arena, right?
Wells Fargo, that's correct.
Yeah.
Guess what?
There's some poetic justice for you, huh?
Elizabeth Warren can scream all she wants, but I'm here to tell you, eventually they're going to stop screaming, because Wells Fargo is going to make a donation to whatever place that they want the donation to go to. Here's another good one, John. For the Hillary Clinton fans out there. All right, here I'm just going to go to a piece that I see in Breitbart, written by Joel Pollack. All right. And it's basically this. Clinton Foundation took cash from Wells Fargo. And let's get on. However, Clinton Foundation has taken large sums from Wells Fargo. Last year, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reported that the Wells Fargo Foundation had given between $100,000 and $250,000 to the Clinton Foundation. The Huffington Post adds, Wells Fargo, both the bank and foundation, has given generally to Clinton Foundation over the years. The bank has given between $10,000 and $25,000, and the foundation has given between $100,000 to $250,000. In 2011, former President Bill Clinton gave a speech to Wells Fargo for $200,000.
Wow. And so just think of the irony of all this, guys. Wells Fargo they basically were duplicating the same thing, the same method that the subprime lending thing was. So that is creating fraudulent accounts and churning them for the purpose of generating commission. Okay, this is just maybe on a smaller scale in terms of the amount of money, but on a much larger scale in the fact that they are actually defrauding the very people that are trusting them with their mony. And the same thing with
is Hillary Clinton going to give any of that money back that Wells Fargo gave gave to them? Are they going to give any of that money back?
Maybe no. Maybe only if Wells Fargo ever gives them back the money, reverses the charges on people's accounts, which they're not going to do.
So it's a wash.
Yeah, because the banks just say we can't do that. We don't have the authorization. You authorize these people to take it. So anyway, I wanted to hit on that because
one of the biggest shareholders in Wells Fargo.
Yeah,
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. Yeah, it's just. Let me put it this way. My closing thought on this is, as I said at the beginning of the show, these people no longer care to hide what they are or what they're doing. They're at that place right now. Barack Obama pushed the liberal agenda, the progressive agenda, to such a place that now nobody fears any retribution from the public. They're not worried about anybody really doing anything to stop them. When they get caught, it's simply, we apologize.
Yep.
And you're just supposed to take it all in stride and then turn around and have the audacity, the audacious stupidity to tell me that Hillary Clinton is still the best qualified person to sit in the White House.
She has honor and integrity above reproach. Yes. And have this righteousness, this indignation from
it's not even that. It's
little Indian Elizabeth Warren. It's like, come on, really?
You can tell, yeah. You can tell me that 78% of the country thinks that Hillary Clinton is dishonest, and it doesn't make any difference. She's still the most qualified. You can tell me that 67% of the Democrats out there will tell you it doesn't matter if she's healthy, if she'll live through the term. She can govern anyway. I mean, just this is why we bring this stuff up. You put it all together, and
you just laps it up.
You've just got one big pot of stupid out there, it's just amazing. Anyway, what I want to do here, we're coming up on a break here.
Yep.
We're going to come back in the next segment. We're going to get this out of the way, and then we're going to get into the nationalism versus globalism. I do want to talk about, as I started to talk about here, about the media and what they're trying to. The spin control is just spun out of control, and they really don't know which way to go. And I'm going to talk specifically about an article from a Harvard professor, Thomas Patterson, who has taken the time to analyze the media and is trying to offer the reasons why everything that the media has been trying to do is not working. And in fact, as they now think, the media is the cause of everything that's going wrong in Hillary Clinton's campaign.
And I got a clip that we can play that shows just how caring and how concerned the media is just their subject matter.
Yeah. Okay. How long is the clip?
The clip's too long to play right now.
Okay. We'll play it right after the break here. But you really this is it's comedic. This is just great. I would love to see somebody on Saturday Night Live make a skit out of this. I get that guy's. Well, who was the guy's name? John someone or other. The guy was the liar. I can't
John
remember.
Lovitz?
Yeah, the liar. He'd say something. Oh yeah, and then he'd just go on and lie. That's what the media's in right now. John Lovett spin right now. So we're going to go to break. We'll be right back. and we'll get into this, and then we'll get into globalism versus nationalism. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you, and they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Now, I want to get into this next section here and try to knock this out before our next break here, because I really want to get into the globalism versus nationalism. The more and more that I look at this, the more and more I think this is the issue. This is the revelation. This election cycle has exposed it all, and that's why the election cycle is as chaotic and dumbfounding and neurotic and exciting as it is. Okay, now, I mentioned earlier about the media kind of in a tailspin here. They don't know what to do. They created a monster, and they don't know what to do with the monster now. It's kind of like that, you know. I'm going to go from this op-ed from the LA Times for the sake of time, just to get the context of what we want to talk about there out on the table, and then we'll go from there, okay? This is an op-ed from the LA Times written by Thomas Patterson, who's a professor at Harvard. Okay, he wrote a book, Informing the News. I don't know what the book is about. I'm not that interested in Harvard professors to read their books, but it goes like this. If Hillary Clinton loses the presidential election in November, we will know the reason. The email controversy did her candidacy in. Well, rightfully so, if that's the case. But it needed a helping hand, and the news media readily supplied that. My analysis, meaning Thomas Patterson's analysis of media coverage in the 4 weeks surrounding both parties' national conventions, found that her use of a private email server while Secretary of State and other alleged scandal references, that would be the Clinton Foundation, Benghazi, all the other things that were being recycled out there, accounted for 11% of Clinton's news coverage in the top 5 television networks and 6 major newspapers, including the Los Angeles Times. Excluding neutral reports, I guess he means by that people that just reported and didn't comment, 91% of the email-related news reports were negative in tone. Remember that phrase, negative in tone. He's reading into this. He's starting to read into his own findings right now. Then there were the references to her character and personal life, which accounted for 4% of the coverage, and that was 92% negative. While Trump declared open warfare on the mainstream media, and of late they have cautiously responded in kind, it has been Clinton who has suffered substantially more negative news coverage throughout nearly the whole campaign. Now, here's the catch. This is where he reveals what his intention of the study. Few presidential candidates have been more fully prepared to assume the duties of the presidency than Clinton.
Oh, my.
Yet her many accomplishments as First Lady, U.S. Senator, and Secretary of State barely surfaced in the news coverage of her candidacy at any point in the campaign. She may as well have spent those years baking cookies.
That might have been an accomplishment. Died from it. But she doesn't have any accomplishment as Secretary of State, First Lady, U.S. Senator. That's why there's nothing there. It's not the media's fault for not reporting it. There's nothing to report.
Yeah, and so here's what it's all about. See, here's the thrust of it. This is the ongoing narrative. Hillary Clinton, by the mere fact that she has been in the political system and has been a politician for the better part of 40-plus years, makes her qualified to sit in the office of the presidency. No other qualification is really necessary, because you'll notice he doesn't list any of those qualifications. Even when he tries to defend her later on, down in the article, he goes down and he says, Trump was quoted more often about Hillary Clinton's policies than she was. How about her foreign defense, social, or economic policies? Don't bother looking. Not a single one of Clinton's policy proposals accounted for even 1% of her convention period coverage. Collectively, her policy stands accounted for a mere 4% of it. But she might have been thankful for that. News reports about her stances were 71% negative to 29% positive in tone. See, here's that phrase. What he's saying is, when the media covered her policies, her policy positions, it was negative. She got negative coverage in tone, not necessarily coming out and saying she sucks. It's just the tone of it was kind of like, and a lot of the tone had to do with whether she was going to continue in Obama's footsteps or was she going to make Obama's legacy look bad by countermanding some of the things that he wants to do. So the whole point of what this particular professor, Harvard professor, by the way, and we got to remember what that means. Yes. One step away from a communist, if not a communist, that kind of thing. And he's looking at this as the fact that the media has spent too much time focusing on Hillary Clinton's problems and not enough time on her policies. Now, let's just understand something. How many rallies have we had to bear watching where Hillary Clinton tells us that she's not going to stoop to the same level of Donald Trump? She's not going to get into the name-calling and the mudslinging. She's going to base her campaign on policies and what she would do. And yet we are yet to really hear anything in terms of what she plans to do. She talks about what Obama's done. She talks about why she went along with the establishment in certain things, why she went along with Obama and certain things he did. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to jump to the next article here, okay? The next article, I'm going to skip down here. The next article is what? It's an interview or an appearance by Robbie Mook.
The Mook.
On Morning Joe. Okay, and the people at MSNBC who are Joe Scarborough was just flustered. He was left flustered after interviewing Robbie Mook, Hillary Clinton campaign manager. Now, understand here, this Professor Patterson is telling us the problem with the media is they're not focusing on Hillary Clinton's policies. It's all about her personal problems. It's all about her personality, her corruption, and everything else. Okay, that keep that in mind. Any coverage on her policy positions is negative in tone. All right, here we go. We're looking at here. Willie Geist on Scarborough asks Robbie Mook, "What's her biggest regret about the way Syria has been handled?" He asked her, "What's Hillary Clinton's biggest regret about the way Syria has been handled?" Mook, "Well, obviously she's been out of office for some time now." Okay. Guy said, "Yeah, but she was there when it started." Mook says, "Well, right, yeah, but I think she's well regarded for her leadership as Secretary of State. She came out of that office with a 70% approval rating. In contrast to Donald Trump, she has released a clear and decisive plan to defeat ISIS." I've never heard that plan. Have you, Joe?
No.
No, okay. Donald Trump has said that he thinks, I know, it's on her website, which, by the way, you have to pay to see. Okay.
Maybe that could be why.
Okay. Donald Trump has said that he thinks he knows more about it than the generals and refuses to tell us what his secret plan is. Here's the reason, Robbie Mook, because at the end of this interview, he's asked by Joe Scarborough, "What are you doing here? You're not answering any of our questions." This is why Robbie Mook is making appearances. This is why anybody speaking on behalf of Hillary Clinton is making appearances anywhere. It is to talk about Donald Trump. It's not to talk about Hillary Clinton. So here this Patterson is telling us that the media is focusing all on Hillary Clinton's problems and not her policies. Hillary Clinton's telling us she's not going to stoop to the level of mudslinging at Donald Trump. She's going to talk about policies. When she's asked about policies, what do? They talk about Donald Trump.
Well, here's an example. Mook, he's asked the question about something, and he goes, "I think, look, you're asking about new policy question. You would have to ask the secretary for that.
Yeah,
my job is not to set policy."
Okay.
Well, why are you out there doing an interview then, Mook?
Yeah. So let me continue. Yeah, you're right on mark here. Geist goes on. He responds to Robbie Mook. "I understand, Robbie. We're talking about Donald Trump's secret plan that he hasn't told anybody about. What about in Syria, though? She supported the drawing of the red line. Obviously, she was out of office when Assad used chemical weapons. Was it a mistake to draw the red line if the president was not willing to go to do something about it when it was crossed?" See, he's asked, do you agree with what Obama did? What does Mook say? Well, it's pointed out that the decision regarding that was made after she was out of office. Okay, so she's not to be held accountable for that. And so Guy says, was she disappointed that the president didn't act when he crossed the line, or didn't act when the line was crossed? He said, well, I think you'd have to ask her. Okay, well, and so, well, you're here to speak for Robbie, so haven't you discussed that at all? Look, what matters is that she's going to do as president. And as I said, she has a clear plan to defeat ISIS. We still don't know what that plan is. Okay, her plan is no less secret than Donald Trump's, if we want to go that route. Donald Trump does not. It's a secret. He won't tell anybody what. See, he's back to talking about Donald Trump. So when you sit here and say, well, why isn't the media talking about Hillary Clinton's positions? It's because Hillary Clinton isn't talking about Hillary Clinton's positions. What else you got to talk about? But the point being is, the media isn't interested in policy positions. Those are just things to fill in between talking about scandals.
Yes.
Okay? Those are fillers. You think that they care what Donald Trump wants to do in terms of foreign policy compared to whether or not his tax returns are released? You know, is it more important that we know where Trump stands on foreign policy, or is it more important we know what his tax returns say? Okay, is it more important that we know what Trump is going to do with ISIS or the economy, or is it more important that we understand whether Trump is in any way affiliated with David Duke from the KKK?
Well, maybe we'll know more in a week after the debate.
Yeah, and that's coming up here. Now, I want to. We're coming up on a break. We're in the break here, but I want to read one more. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take a couple minutes here. We'll close this out right here. Scarborough says to her, he asks her about the Aleppo. Okay, a Gary Johnson moment here. He even brings up, I'm going to ask you about Aleppo. I hope you know what I'm talking about, kind of thing. And Mook says, well, you're going to have to ask her that question. Okay, that's a matter of policy. I'm going to leave it to her. Scarborough says, what are you here? We love you, buddy, but what are you here for if you can't answer basic questions? Okay, there it is. The reason why the media isn't focusing on Hillary Clinton's policies is because Hillary Clinton doesn't want anybody to focus on Hillary Clinton's policies. They just want her to think. They want us to think she's focused on policies. Hillary Clinton's campaign is much like Obamacare. You're going to have to elect her to find out what's in it. That's it. That is the gist of the Hillary Clinton campaign. I may suck, but Donald Trump sucks more. That's it. There it is. That's the entire campaign there. And so when you see these spokesholes get on there for Hillary Clinton on these talk shows, it's all about just doing nothing more than trying to brand Donald Trump as a racist, bigot, homophobe, xenophobic, whatever the words are they're throwing out there, okay? There it is, all right? I think we covered that well enough. I think you got the gist of that. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to launch into our globalism versus nationalism. We got some good stuff for you here, so stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
TheConservativeSyndicate.net. Exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and boy, I'll tell you, my room's heating up here. This little cubby hole that I call my studio, and I'm burning up here because of my talking. I need one of those, what do they call those people in the operating rooms that sponge your head while you're operating? Nurses, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that's probably what they call those.
Yeah, that's what I need right now. I need somebody to sit here and dab my head here.
So you need some nurse in there, John? You need a nurse to come in there and sponge forehead?
Yeah, and it has, it was one that won't distract me while they're doing it.
So you want one that's... Yes. Okay. Never mind.
Okay. All right.
We're getting sadistic on us here. We don't want to do that.
All right. Let's keep it a family show, I guess, here. All right. We want to get into this globalism thing. And the reason why is maybe this was by divine design that we kind of held off on this, because when the idea first came up in my mind and I threw it at Joe, I said, hey, we got to talk about this. It was more along the lines of exposing the Republican establishment. We all know that the Democrats are globalists, and we all know that their ultimate dream, their dream for utopia, is of course one world government, one world economy, one world military, one world police force, and one way of doing things, and that is the utopian totalitarian way. Where a few people decide what everybody gets and doesn't get and where they get to live and et cetera, et cetera. Okay? But Obama has given us a gift here. He appeared at the UN this week making his, I call it the magical mystery tour. His final apology tour, touring around the world, letting everybody know that he just did a bang-up swell job and trying to make them understand that everything he's done, in spite of what the appearances are, has been for the good of mankind, not only the United States, but for everybody. He has rid the world of the United States as the oppressor. And now we are going to lead the great global reformation of the world, and he wants to be the guy.
Yeah.
Okay? He wants to be the guy. And so he gives this big speech up at the UN, and he takes some really cheap pot shots, not only at Trump, but basically at conservatism. That's really what you're talking about here, nationalism, conservatism. There actually is a difference to some degree here, because a lot of people that are nationalists aren't really conservatives.
Yeah, well, he's taking pot shots at people all over the world, actually.
Yeah, he's basically what he's doing is he's attacking the people that have withstood and opposed his worldview.
There you go. Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
That's what this is all about.
And you would think this is pretty serious stuff, right?
Yeah.
We got, we were just talking about the media and how they present things, and this is serious stuff. And I got a hard hit. I got a Brian Williams here, a very hard hitting clip, John.
Okay, yeah. Let's start out with that.
This is hard hitting stuff here, buddy. So this is Brian Williams, and he's talking about President Obama gives his final UN Assembly speech. So let me get my mouse over here. Let me make this happen. And here we go.
Spoke at the United Nations General Assembly here in New York for the 8th and final time as president. And because the green marble backdrop never changes, it offers a stark look at how the job of the presidency, and people seem to want it so badly, changes people over the years. He first spoke to the gathering 7 years ago, almost to the day, a visibly younger man. His remarks today were tough on America's enemies and came 4 days before America picks the leader who will appear at that gathering a year from now.
I believe that at this moment, we all face a choice. We can choose to press forward with a better model of cooperation and integration, or we could retreat into a world sharply divided and ultimately in conflict along age-old lines of nation and tribe and race and religion. I want to suggest to you today that we must go forward and not backward.
One very last thing about that green marble backdrop. It does not jive with Donald Trump's aesthetic. 4 years ago, he tweeted, quote, "The cheap 12-inch square marble tiles behind the speaker at the UN always bothered me. I will replace with beautiful large marble slabs if they ask me." As of this evening, there has been no such request from the world body.
Olson, the former director of the National...
So there you have it, Brian Williams, and the marble wall behind Barack Obama as he gave his UN speech, and Donald Trump. They had to get the shot at Donald Trump in there just to make it fair and balanced.
You know, I got to tell you, I'm sorry, I got to tell you, as I'm listening to this, not so much Barack Obama, but Brian Williams, okay? This has been something the media has been trying to do all along here lately, and that is talk about how the wear and tear on somebody like a president, a young man who just 7 years ago, well, you know, had all completely black hair, you know, and had spring in his step and everything else, and now he's gray. He's probably wore his DEFCON 2 gray color, you know, and I think he has his hair colored to some. I'm sure he's got a little bit of gray hair from being president, but anyway, yeah. You know, here it is. It's just, I don't know. I was thinking of Ron Burgundy. Okay? You know who Ron Burgundy is?
Yes.
Okay. And I was thinking of the one news clip in that movie, The Legend of Anchorman Ron Burgundy, where they're at the zoo covering the birth of the panda.
Yes.
Okay. And the newscaster, I forget, Rudd, I think is his last name. I don't know what his first name. I don't remember him. But he's talking to the camera, and he's trying that the panda is being hidden behind a curtain because, you know, nobody wants to actually watch the birth or something. And he screams at the panda, "Come out from behind the curtain, you dummy," or something like that. And the camera flashes back to Ron Burgundy, and he says, "Biting." Biting commentary there. Rich.
Brian Williams, I mean, I can't remember what he was disgraced about. I'm sure it was something was absolutely fantastic. But, you know, this is the hard-hitting report he comes out. You know, Barack Obama has given his last UN speech, and just look how much he's aged. It's so horrible. And the wall has aged better than Obama.
Oh, the wall has aged as much as Obama, or Obama has aged more than the wall?
It's the same wall. So
same wall.
The wall's obviously aged.
I'm surprised they didn't make some comment to that effect with Donald Trump. Oh, yeah, he just wants to build walls everywhere, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But this is the media. This is what the media is focusing on. This is that's news, not what Obama was saying, the substance of what Obama was saying. Let's just talk about, well, poor Barack. Everybody wants to be president, and the wall is aging better than he is.
See, what just happened here, if you were listening, paying attention, what just happened here is Brian Williams just confirmed everything that we and Thomas Patterson at Harvard University was talking about. The media is not interested. The reason we're not hearing about issues and policies is because the media is not interested in issues and policies unless it's something that they can tie to a scandal. They're only interested in Donald Trump's foreign policy in terms of how it relates to bigoted rhetoric against Muslims. Okay, it's not about national security. They don't. Why is Donald Trump taking the position that he's taking about banning immigrants from coming into the country if we don't know who they are? It isn't about national security. It's because he's a bigot. So here we have Barack Obama, you know, the unicorn showing up at the UN, and it's not about him talking about how much he has, quote unquote, fundamentally transformed the United States of America. It's about his color of his hair, not even his skin anymore. And now it's his hair.
While he was there, he was talking about his globalist vision. And we're going to get heavily into that here next hour.
Yeah, we got to go to break here. We're over time here. Time for the Edwards Notebook. We'll pay some bills, and we'll be back. Stay with us right here. We'll be right back.
Certain people are so focused on toppling America that they will even try to convince the world that protecting our borders is now bigoted. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, the Islamic bloc at the United Nations has joined forces with the likes of President Obama, Mrs. Clinton, Harry Reid, and all American progressives who have labeled presidential candidate Donald Trump and right-wing politicians in Europe who want to protect the sovereignty of their respective nations as xenophobes and bigots. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation also condemned the media outlets who report on Islamic terrorism. The Islamists blame the reporting on terrorism rather than the terrorism itself for causing civilized people to not to want to be around Muslims. I'm sorry, but the Quran instructs Muslims to kill, enslave, or brutally overtax non-Muslims. And talk about bigots. It's the Muslims who are taught from birth to hate Jews and that black people have no souls and are raisin heads. Let's not forget, it was Muslims who declared war on America and the West in 1979. So yes, America will soon protect our borders, and if progressives and Muslims don't like it, too bad. I'm Ron Edwards.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The Conservative Syndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
It's a latter-day prophet. Vying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, we're back, and this is hour two of the Conservative Syndicate, coming to you live, coast to coast, nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, the Conservative Syndicate. Hey, visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. Pick up this show, any of our shows, any of our archives. Find out what you want to know about the show, the people on it, our contributors, everything we do, and why we do it. Theconservativesyndicate.net. All right, let's get into the topic that I've been wanting to get into now for weeks, and just a combination of different things have delayed the process, but God uses all things toward good. And we had, as we said just before the hour here, Barack Obama gave us this topic on a silver platter, okay? Not gold, because I don't know where all the gold's at. All the gold's in China. So silver platter. Barack Obama has given us this topic, globalism versus nationalism. And Joe has got some clips lined up from Barack Obama's speech. We talked about it in the first hour, that biting, stinging review by Brian Williams. Just in-depth, in-depth commentary on what Barack Obama has accomplished the last 7 years. Apparently, the only thing that is evident is the color of his hair has changed, okay? And even that, in my opinion, is questionable, okay? So that's just the way I am, guys. I'm looking here at the liberals and what they do and what they represent. I don't believe anything any of them say for any reason unless I see it right in front of me while they're saying it. Okay, so Joe, how do you want to? You got the clips here. How do you want to progress with this?
Well, I think we should make sure that we got to understand Barack Obama's goal here was to advance the proposition of globalism throughout the entire world. Otherwise, globalism, yes, but he wanted to make sure that people understood his accomplishments and what he has done to fulfill this globalistic vision that he has. So I wanted to go ahead and make sure we got that.
Maybe what we should do, maybe we should start out by giving a basic definition of what we're talking about in terms of what is globalism versus nationalism.
Well, like you said before, the New World Order, where we have there's one world government. Basically, right. I mean, it's everybody. There are no borders. Like the European Union. Back when I was in Europe, back in the day, in the late 20th century, in the 80s, you needed a passport to go from country to country to country to country. You needed to have a visa stamp. Now, with the European Union, you can just go through there. You don't have to show squat. You just move around there freely. And what has taken hold? Well, you've had that migrant crisis that's going on. But that's part of the problem, according to Barack Obama, is people don't like that because, I don't know, you have 1,000 women raped on New Year's Eve in Cologne, Germany. Barack doesn't seem to think there's a problem with that. People shouldn't be upset about that. These people coming into your country that don't want to assimilate. In other words, turn to your culture in your country. They don't want to do that, so they want their old country to be in the new country. So they want the new place to be like the old place, so the new place won't be the new place anymore.
Yeah, let me break it down this way. Since we're in the short segment here, it'll take 2 or 3 minutes here, and then we'll get into the actual clips and our commentary on what globalism versus nationalism is actually about. Globalism is the concept and the belief that the world needs to become, in order to attain peace and prosperity for everybody, because everybody, in the globalist mindset, everybody is entitled to equality, meaning equal outcome, not necessarily opportunity or anything else. It's all about equal outcome. We're all human beings, therefore we all should have the same stuff. And we should all have access to the same things, regardless of socioeconomic conditions, culture, race, religion, anything. It doesn't really matter. We're all humans, and therefore we should all have the same thing. So it's basically the whole concept of globalism is one collective. Everything comes together as one collective, and of course you've got to have central planners for that collective to determine what is right and what's wrong and how to attain and obtain this level of utopian equality that they want. And, of course, these are academics, people that have collectively very little experience in application, but because they've spent so many years in the classroom under academics like themselves who have done nothing but have spent all their time in the classroom, that they've come up with the model plan. It's just globalism. The only reason globalism doesn't work or hasn't worked is because it just hasn't had the right combinations of people and leaders to make it happen. Okay, so that's globalism. The reason I wanted to specify nationalism is because nationalism sometimes has been associated with a form of communism, nationalist China, that kind of thing. Nationalism in this context is basically people that believe that each country is sovereign and they should have their own sovereignty. Okay, England is an example of nationalism. Brexit is an example of nationalism. They got tired of the people in the European Union telling them what to do, and they felt violated because of the immigration influx and some of the dangers that come with that. And so they're saying, hey, we want our country back. We want to make the decisions. Okay, the Trumpsters are basically considered nationalists because what they're saying is what? We want the government out of our lives. And when Barack Obama talks about reversing things, about the nationalists and the isolationists and the xenophobes and everything else, what he's saying is they want to reverse this move towards globalism or collectivism on a grand scale. So that's the difference. And that's what we're talking about here. People that want to remain and retain sovereignty as a nation, whether here or abroad. And the globalists are the ones that want to bring everybody into that one big collective under a few central planners. So having said that, let's go to our break. When we come back, we'll get into Joe's clips, and we'll get further into this discussion. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. All right, let's get into this, Joe. How do you want to break this down? You have the con. You have the clips, therefore you have the con.
Okay, so let's get with Barack Obama. He starts out his great UN final speech. He's going to tell us all the greatness of globalism and how great it is and just all that. So let's listen to Barack and tell us all about how great globalism is.
Moreover, the collapse of colonialism and communism has allowed more people than ever before to live with the freedom to choose their leaders. Despite the real and troubling areas where freedom appears in retreat, the fact remains that the number of democracies around the world has nearly doubled in the last 25 years. In remote corners of the world, citizens are demanding respect for the dignity of all people, no matter their gender or race or religion or disability or sexual orientation. And those who deny others dignity are subject to public reproach. An explosion of social media has given ordinary people more ways to express themselves and has raised people's expectations for those of us in power. Indeed, our international order has been so successful that we take it as a given that great powers no longer fight world wars, that the end of the Cold War lifted the shadow of nuclear Armageddon, that the battlefields of Europe have been replaced by peaceful union, that China and India remain on a path of remarkable growth.
Yeah, so, despite the trouble in the world and everything, citizens are demanding respect of dignity of all people, no matter their gender, race, religion, disability, or sexual orientation. And if you don't give it to them, you're subject to public reproach. An explosion of social media has given ordinary people more ways to express them and has raised people's expectations for those of us in power. Indeed, our international order has been so successful that we don't worry about blowing each other to kingdom come with Armageddon and nuclear weapons. Yes, it's so great that we've had so much fun with this. Yes.
Yeah, now let's pick out some of these words here, because in the dialogue of liberal doublespeak, we've mentioned it many, many times on this show, more times than I can remember. The idea here that they use words that the average person would hear and associate to, let's say, traditional contexts. Okay? If we talk about democracy, for instance, one of the words he uses here, as an American, if you're, let's say any American over the age of 40 would normally, just instinctively, inherently, when you think of the word democracy, well, you think of America. That's the first thing that pops in your mind, okay? Well, why is that? Well, because we're Americans. But I can also tell you, I've been abroad enough, I've been in enough countries, and I have political discussions wherever I go, and when they hear the word democracy, America is what comes into their mind too, okay? Even countries like England, you talk about democracy, because what? England's a monarchy. It's not a democracy, even though, the monarch doesn't really do or say anything. But the point is, if you asked them what type of government they have, they wouldn't tell you that they have a democracy. It would be a monarchy.
Yeah, the Philippines have a democracy.
Yeah, or some kind of European socialism or something like that, okay? Now,
we see how that's working in the Philippines.
The democratic socialist, democratic socialist. Okay, I'm sorry, got that out right. But when Barack Obama talks about a democracy, or any leftist talks about a democracy, it's within the context of globalism, and the context of globalism is that the mob wants something, and the benevolent dictator determines if and when and how that what the mob wants, what they get. And if you say, we want to solve the weather issue, well, that's the mob. Okay, the mob not necessarily being the majority. The mob is the people making the noise. Okay, in Rome, they say Rome is the mob. That didn't mean every single Roman was out there protesting and wanting to destroy the government and tear the infrastructure down or anything else. Who was the mob? The mob was the people that were being placated by the gladiator games and everything else. They were the poor. They were the people that didn't have anything else going for them. And so, let's just placate them. Let's give them a shiny object to look at. That kind of stuff, okay? So when we talk about democracy coming from somebody like Barack Obama, you notice he never talks about republic. He never refers to the United States in the terms of republic. He never talks about his ideology within the terms of republicanism or American exceptionalism, other than to downgrade it and say everybody's exceptional, because that's the colonial way of doing things, okay? Or not the colonial, that's the utopian way of looking at things. That's the globalist way of looking at things. And he talks about this collapse of colonialism and communism.
Yes.
Okay, and says that because of that, more people have lived with freedom to choose their leaders. And there's the democracies, the mobs, have doubled in more than the last 25 years. And I'm, for the life of me, trying to figure out, okay, does that mean, let me put it in perspective. If one country became a democracy, well, let's say two countries became a democracy, you could say, well, 10 years ago, one country became a democracy, and now it's doubled in the last 25 years. He wants to give you the impression that all over the world, there has been democracy springing up all over the place.
Yep, just popping up everywhere.
Yeah, just popping up anywhere. Like the Arab Spring?
Yes.
Okay. How many democracies ended up coming out of that?
None.
Okay. You talk about Libya, okay? Libya is in mass chaos right now. But because the Obama administration orchestrated this chaos, they believe that it has led to a democracy. Okay, that the people have risen up and spoken. And it doesn't matter that the government is in a shambles. It doesn't matter when you look at Syria or Iraq or Iran and you see the internal strife and the infrastructure's collapsing. It's all democracy because why? Because the people rose up and said, we're not happy with what we're doing anymore. Okay, but in terms of establishing any type of government that even closely resembles a republic, meaning the individual is considered to be the central point of the government, but absent any responsibility and accountability. That's a democracy. Each individual is important, but only important in terms of what they want, not necessarily in terms of what they contribute.
I wonder if you noticed his blame of social media. social media has given ordinary people more ways to express themselves and raised people's expectation for those of us in power. He's blaming social media that he has to answer, and quote unquote, to the ordinary people.
Yeah, and let's take it within the context of what we're hearing about Barack Obama and Clinton and the rest of them in terms of social media. They believe that social media is the real cause of violent extremism, not Islamic radicalism. It's the lone wolves. I heard it the other night, really funny. What was it, New York City, where they had the bomb explosion?
Yes.
Okay, and they were talking about, they caught the guy or whatever, and immediately Jay Johnson from the DHS came out and said it was a lone wolf.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Okay. All right. That's their favorite phrase for somebody they don't want to identify as being part of Islam, the jihad, that kind of thing. But the thing is that apparently he said the way, I forget who was saying it, but the way he said it, he was dead serious, and I believe it was Hannity who just couldn't stifle his laughter. The guy says, "Well, apparently what happened is this lone wolf hooked up with some other lone wolves, and they got together."
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing, the lone wolf was a known wolf. They knew about this guy. They had this guy.
Yeah,
that's our government letting us down.
So that was. I think it was that show. There's a show on during the weekend called Justice. It's got some woman on it. I don't know her name because I don't watch this stuff enough to know the names. But she's like some former judge or something. And she's pretty radical. She's pretty confrontational. I like listening to her the times I've listened to her. I just never bother enough to listen to know what her name is. And I think it was on her show. They were talking about it. And the guy says, yeah, well, apparently this lone wolf hooked up with some other lone wolves.
Okay, so let's real quick. We can get this next one in before the next break. So we have Barack Obama tell us all the things that are good about globalism and how it's great. We got democracies everywhere, just flourishing everywhere, and people are free to hold their governments accountable, blah, 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 through social media and all that stuff. But Barack's really, he wants to make sure that we don't abandon this. So here's Barack, and here's the next clip.
I say all this not to whitewash the challenges we face or to suggest complacency. Rather, I believe that we need to acknowledge these achievements in order to summon the confidence to carry this progress forward and to make sure that we do not abandon those very things that have delivered this progress. In order to move forward, though, we do have to acknowledge that the existing path to global integration requires a course correction, because too often those trumpeting the benefits of globalization have ignored inequality within and among nations, have ignored the enduring appeal of ethnic and sectarian identities, have left international institutions ill-equipped, underfunded, under-resourced in order to handle transnational challenges.
Under-resourced, yes, and I hope you caught the existing path to global integration.
Well, let's just back up just a moment here.
Okay.
In his previous clip here, he talks about international order has been so successful,
yes,
that we take it as a given that all the other stuff that the world has been battling with is pretty much gone the wayside.
No more world wars, no Cold Wars, no nuclear Armageddon.
Yeah, and no mention of terrorism, which is probably in a lot of ways worse than some of the other stuff that's going on. But now he goes, those trumpeting the benefits of globalization have ignored inequality. So, in one word, one paragraph, he says the international order has been so successful. Turns right around and says those benefiting from the success of this globalization still have problems because they still ignore inequality and they still ignore ethnic and sectarian identities, and they've left everything ill-equipped, underfunded, under-resourced in order to handle transnational challenges. I don't even know what that means in context. I'm sitting there, what are you talking about? But the point being is he's saying two things opposite of each other at the same time. On one hand, he's trying to tell us the international order has been so successful that we've been lulled into this sense of complacency that all is well with the world, but those benefiting from the globalization still aren't treating people equally.
Well, he's also ignoring as he puts it, the enduring appeal of ethnic and sectarian identity. Oh my goodness, people, the endurance. You mean because it's lasted for centuries, Barack?
Yeah. Yeah, and we're just all this is just supposed to change in 7 years because you've been president.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Because he makes it so.
Yeah. That's the progress that he's talking about here. We need to acknowledge these achievements in order to summon the confidence to carry this forward and to make sure we do not abandon those very things that have delivered this progress. Don't turn your backs on me, folks. I'm ready to save the world now that I've saved America.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to a break.
Okay, we got to go to break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you, and they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. And hey, visit our website. Take the time to visit our website. Check it out. You'll like it. It'll be worth it. The ConservativeSyndicate.net. All right, let's get back to our commentary. We're breaching this topic here on globalism versus nationalism. Remembering here, globalism, just keep this one thought in your mind. New World Order, collectivism on a global scale. Nationalism, the belief and the attitude that each nation is sovereign and that they should be able to govern themselves. There you go.
The enduring appeal of having your own sovereign nation is troublesome.
Right.
Just that enduring appeal. You know, for thousands of years, you've had the nation that you could call your own, but that's just wrong thinking now.
Yeah, and if you want the best example of it, Brexit. Take the time to really dig into what Brexit was about. That is the perfect case of nationalists rebelling against globalism. And rightfully so. England deciding...
It's sweeping across Europe now because Germany's in the same boat. They're having a vote. Merkel just lost because of the migrant situation she created.
Yeah, I had a discussion here. I think I've mentioned this before on the show here. I'll just say this real quick here. My best friend, guy I grew up with, lives over in Germany. We grew up together here out in Garden Grove, California. Best friend by far. Just the best friend I've ever had in my life. We haven't seen each other for the better part of 35 years, though, because he lives in Germany now. And he was telling me, he made a comment to me the other day that Barack Obama is the best president we've ever had. And I said, well, that's easy for you to say. You've lived in Germany for 35 years. Okay, you're not experiencing the first full feel of what America is like.
He's the next patriot, man.
Yeah, and he even tried to elicit that with me. He says, well, you served in the military. You know you're supposed to respect the commander-in-chief. I said, well, first of all, I no longer serve in the military. So that doesn't mean I have any obligation to respect a man who has no respect for the office himself. Well, we are as patriots, because he referred to me as a patriot. I thought you were a patriot. Yeah, I am loyal to the United States. I swore to uphold the Constitution. Nowhere in my oath when I joined the military did I swear allegiance to the president.
Thank you.
Okay? In fact, I served under a commander-in-chief that I think is probably just as questionable in some regards. I served under Richard Nixon. Okay? A corrupt guy all in of himself. Okay? Not as corrupt as Barack Obama, but he had his own little narcissist paranoia, all the what do you want to call personality traits of somebody that doesn't have all their cards in a row, that kind of thing.
Let's just call it a foible. Let's just call it foibles.
Yeah, okay. So the point being is that, and then I said, I threw a quote. Teddy Roosevelt once said that no American owes loyalty to the president. They owe loyalty to the country, okay? And he said, well, that was then, John. That's now. This is now. I'm like, okay, you've spoken like a true liberal. Okay, what is now, and what was then is then. No absolutes. Everything is relativism. Barack Obama gave everybody everything that they wanted, and therefore he's a good president. Has no regard for the Constitution, has no regard for the office, has no regard for anything other than what he wants to do, and you're trying to tell me this guy is the best guy in the world. I said, by the way, your little woman over there, Merkel, is not the best person in the world either. You know, you better look in your own backyard, dude. Okay? Anyway, get back to what you were doing, Joe.
Okay, so as we're talking about this globalist vision that Brock does not want us to abandon, he wants to look. We cannot progress if we go backwards and turn our back on this globalist society that we must create. So, and you know, as he said, the enduring appeal of ethnic and sectarian identities. Well, gee, my goodness, why should you want to feel like you're like, hey, you're an American? Why should you feel like you should always, stand up for America? Gee, I don't know, Barack, just because you never figured that out. But anyway, here's Barack, and he continues on, and I want you to notice at the end, he just can't help himself. He just can't help politicizing, getting domestic politics into this world speech at a world organization. This foreign organization, this worldwide organization, he can't help himself by inserting domestic politics into this. So listen towards the end of this.
And as these real problems have been neglected, alternative visions of the world have pressed forward, both in the wealthiest countries and in the poorest. Religious fundamentalism, the politics of ethnicity or tribe or sect, aggressive nationalism, a crude populism, sometimes from the far left, but more often from the far right, which seeks to restore what they believe was a better, simpler age free of outside contamination. We cannot dismiss these visions. They are powerful. They reflect dissatisfaction among too many of our citizens. I do not believe those visions can deliver security or prosperity over the long term, but I do believe that these visions fail to recognize at a very basic level our common humanity. Moreover, I believe that the acceleration of travel and technology and telecommunications, together with a global economy that depends on a global supply chain, makes it self-defeating ultimately for those who seek to reverse this progress. Today, a nation ringed by walls would only imprison itself. So the answer cannot be a simple rejection of global integration. Instead, we must work together to make sure the benefits of such integration are broadly shared and that the disruptions, economic, political, and cultural, that are caused by integration are squarely addressed.
Yes. So I don't know if you caught the dig at Donald Trump with the it makes it together with the global economy depends on the global supply, makes it a self-defeating ultimately for those who seek to today a nation ringed by walls would only imprison itself. But I want you to understand, if you caught this one, John, I do not believe that these visions can deliver security or prosperity over the long term. Let me ask you something, John. Mr. Obama has delivered us security and prosperity with his vision to America. What happened over the weekend in New York and New Jersey?
Yeah. Well, the whole, as I said at the beginning of this, the whole idea behind what Barack Obama is projecting here is that capitalism really isn't the answer. It's always been Keynesian economics. And it's just that the right person is not the one that has initiated policies and agendas within the total complexity of what Keynesian economics is about. And that is, if you don't know what that is the government basically controlling everything in terms of the economy. Okay, it's a nationalization of the economy. That's what it's to using taxpayer dollars to stimulate the economy. That's what Barack Obama says. That's what Joe Biden's out there telling everybody right now. We saved the country from the biggest recession since the Great Depression, and we did it by doing what? We did it by putting money into the economy for things like Solyndra. Okay?
Shovel-ready
something like that. But I think it bears noting here that what he's talking about here, I want to address this from both sides. Let's not forget that this stimulus money that we were talking about, TARP money, and all the stuff that took place shortly after Barack Obama stepped into the White House was something that was brought about by George W. Bush, another globalist.
Yes.
Okay? So let's just say what Barack Obama did was he took the plan and agenda of George W. Bush and screwed it up. Even worse than George W. Bush would have screwed it up. Okay? Yeah. He did it by trying to not only inject taxpayer dollars to save the economy, he tried to inject the government into saving the economy. He took it to that next step. Bush just wanted to use the cash and figured, okay, the economics will take care of themselves if we inject the cash. But Obama wanted to do it towards a global type of thing, true globalism, which is he wanted to bring the government into it to such a degree that the government dictates and determines how that money is spent. Okay, so I'd like to get to this one thing here. You mentioned about him taking shots at Donald Trump. He basically took shots at conservatism. There's much more. Yeah, much more than he calls the Trumpism is what he's referring to when he says crude populism. That's Trumpism.
I was going to get to that.
Okay, that's Trumpism here. But
this religious fundamentalism, the politics of ethnicity or tribe or sect, aggressive nationalism, a crude populism, sometimes more often from the far right, which seeks to restore what they believe was a better, simpler age, free of outside contamination. We cannot dismiss as these are they reflect the dissatisfaction, here you go, among too many of our citizens. I do not believe these visions can deliver security and prosperity over the long term, but I do not believe these visions these visions fail to recognize at a basic level our common humanity over a long term. I don't know for how many decades and centuries have borders worked in the world, John. I don't know. I mean, we've had
well, it's that contradiction of liberalism. When they make an argument for immigration, what is the central argument of immigration? We're all immigrants.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
we're all products of diversity. And we've all come together in this big melting pot. And that is our common humanity. But you understand the phrase common humanity refers back to what I said earlier. It's equal attainment. It's equal outcome versus opportunity, responsibility, and accountability. That's what he's saying. Our common, we failed to recognize at the very basic level, our common humanity, which is what? That common humanity at the very basic level is that we all have a right to everything. Okay, okay? And that's really what it is. And since there are those out there who want to reverse this trend, this great trend that has made progress so far into bringing everybody together and giving everybody equal portions of everything and making everybody love each other because of this in the process. And none of that has occurred at any level. In fact, it's reversed. This isn't progressivism. This is regressivism. Okay, we're going backwards. We're going back to the Stone Age. We're heading back to feudalism or something like that.
There
okay?
you go. Exactly.
That's what's going on here. Hey, we got to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll continue this, kind of close up some things, kind of put everything in the big picture for you. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adult in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net. Exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate. We want to once again encourage you to visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. And, if you want to, just for fun, if you're listening to us live out there, I don't know what stations you're listening to us on. We have 10 affiliates out here right now that carry our show. Check us out on the website and check out some of the other affiliates, in spite of the one that you're listening to us right now on, just to see what's going on. I'm not saying leave. I'm not saying, I'm not in any way talking about migrating from one to the other. Just take a look at the affiliates that we're affiliated with. We have some really, really good affiliates out there that are really carrying a solid conservative message, and we're all on the same page. We're all moving in the same direction. We are in a reformation move here, guys. It's not progressivism. They're bringing us into an age of regressivism, but we're talking about reformation. And, I talk with people over the weekend about, revival coming to the country. No, we don't need a revival. We need a resurrection. Okay? This has to go way beyond the normal, typical words. But I want to pick up on one of these words here. And I'm going to use a paraphrase that was given by Edward Isaac DeVere over at Politico, his take on this speech. We opened up the segment talking about the article where it says Obama ditches diplomacy and attacks Trump at the UN, because that's really what he was doing. He was using the UN platform to try to stump for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
not even Hillary Clinton. He's trying to protect his legacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the main theme here. I did all this great stuff. I fundamentally transformed the United States of America. We didn't get quite as far as I would have liked to, but we need to go farther, and we need to protect everything that I've done. Don't let these isolationists and these populists and these authoritarians and all the other words that he's using, the nationalists. Don't let them stop this. Don't let them curtail what we've been doing and getting the country closer and closer in imploding our infrastructure and driving the economy into the mud so that we can become just as desperate as everybody else. And, of course, the answer then is globalism. Let's take everybody's money and we'll deal it out as we deem fit. Okay, now, what Edward Isaac DeVere says here, and he's talking about the quote we were just talking about, the clip that Joe played. He said, 3 days after declaring that Trump's candidacy is a threat to American democracy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Obama said that while globalization has its downsides, the wrong response comes more often from the right to produce an aggressive nationalism, a crude populism, which seeks to restore what they believe was a better, simpler age free of outside contamination. Okay? See, Obama's trying to tell us that, globalism has its downsides. The downside, of course, is that it doesn't work. Okay, but the thing is, what he's really referring to here, what he's implying is that globalization has its downside in the sense that not everybody really understands the objective of globalization. In his speech, what he's basically was telling the UN people that were listening over there was that, we've made great advances in globalism. We've really moved the United States in particular towards that new world order. But some of you just haven't caught on. You're still doing this in the name of self-interest. You're still doing this in the name of garnering your own wealth. See, you have to be an ideologue like Barack Obama. You have to at least portray the idea that you're willing to sacrifice and give up everything for the common good. Okay?
Yeah, he's not gonna, see, the thing is, the problem is we all know that he won't give up anything.
Yeah. So. Well, let's talk about the fact. Here's a man who, when he came into the White House 7.5 years ago, almost 8 years ago, had a net worth of about $4 million. Okay, because of his books. Here's a man who today has tripled that net worth, and he hasn't written any new books. Okay, where does that money come from? Well, they say, well, it's in investments. He's been investing in the American economy. He's out there buying bonds and CDs and money markets and everything else. I can tell you none of those investment vehicles right now are turning over any type of interest on bonds, CDs, and money markets. It's not like a return on stocks. They're claiming he has made his money by investing in safe American investment vehicles like CDs, bonds, and money market.
Which tells you stay away from those things.
Yeah, and while telling us that the economy is in rags because of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meanwhile, they have saved us from the world's greatest economic calamity since the Roman Empire.
Yeah, and that's the changes in the weather.
And the most thing we have to worry about the most is not terrorism that's blowing up in your backyard, not Barack's backyard, but your backyard. The worst thing we have to worry about is the weather.
Yeah, that's right, because, it's so damn hot over in the Middle East, and if it gets any hotter, these people are just going to go back crap crazy. We're going to open it. Yeah, if you're going to open up an air conditioning factory, you want to do it over in the Middle East. Okay, but it's just the whole idea of his speech. I guess I'm trying to put this all into the big picture.
Yeah,
this was a self-promotion. It was a self-promotion in the sense that he wanted to remind the UN of everything I deserve that Nobel Peace Prize, not because of the fact that my foreign policy has brought us closer to war than since 9/11. Okay, it's that I have done more to equalize humanity and make everybody the same. He makes a reference to sexual orientation in his speech. I wonder how that went over with some of the people over there, especially in the Middle East theater.
Yeah, I'm sure that went over well. I love this line, John. Why don't you explain this to me? But he goes on to say, talking about the poor people, he said, just as a child and as some today can see a skyscraper nearby, technology now allows any person with a smartphone to see how the most privileged among us live in, and the contrast between their own lives and others. How does a poor child just wondering how they're going to get their next meal have a smartphone?
Well, it's because the government gives them one.
Really? You're in the middle of the just the slums in Africa, Somalia, and you got a smartphone? I don't think so.
Well, I'll tell you what. I will kind of contradict that only because I've been in the Philippines. Okay, and you go out into some of these, out into the outlands, out to the farms and stuff like that, and where they ride water buffaloes to and from work.
Yeah.
Okay, and you drive down in between the fields, and you see the little grass huts out there. Okay, I mean literally grass huts. A lot of them still live in grass huts. Use cardboard for the walls and palm tree leaves for the ceiling, right? Yeah. And it's the most surreal scene, Joe. I'm telling you. You're riding around, you're watching these people walk back and forth on water buffaloes, and you see the huts out in the middle of the rice fields, and sticking out of this grass hut is an antenna.
Yeah, yeah, I get that, but you're not seeing that in the deepest, darkest reaches of sub-Saharan Africa.
Oh yeah. Well, I know. The what's his name, Zuckerberg. You know that they now have these planes flying around that are supposed to be like thermal plates, solar panels.
Yeah.
And they fly around, and they're supposed to give Wi-Fi to everybody all over the world, and maybe that's what he's referred to. Anyway, we're out of time for today. We're going to continue this tomorrow. I don't think we don't have any guests tomorrow, so we're going to do it all over again tomorrow and get deeper into it because there's some other aspects. We're going to get into the ideology that drives all this stuff.
Yeah, there's more. He did go ahead and get his digs at our nation as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, of course he has to do that. So we're going to talk more about Obama's speech in context of our discussion here, and actually try to get into what the ideology is behind globalism, and why it's so important that we take a stand against it. And if we don't do it now, we may not ever be able to do it again. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock on the West Coast, 6 o'clock on the East Coast. God bless you. We love you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.